Welcome to Evangelicalish, where we discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly of the American evangelical church, deconstruction, faith, and God's love through it all. Join us for these episodes live on our Evangelicalish YouTube page on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 o'clock Pacific. Let's journey together. Let's journey together.
Yes.
I fixed it. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Evangelicalish. It's our last episode of the season of season 2. I'm April.
I'm Paul.
And I'm that pastor from Oklahoma.
Wow, Jeremy, you look a little different.
I think I look more handsomer.
Yes, you've had some touch-ups done there.
So clearly, this is Joseph Yu. He's been on the show before as the pastor who defected from the Methodist Church and became an Episcopalian. But he's joining us as our co-host tonight as Jeremy is having flu-like symptoms, and we hate sickness, and we hope Jeremy feels better. Jeremy, if you're out there listening, we love you. Get better soon. But Joseph, we are very glad to have you with us. Welcome back.
Thank you. And I just want to mention that April has done this show sick, so I don't know what Jeremy's problem is.
It's a call out.
It's a call in.
A call in. April, you were saying before we go on, you have not missed a single episode of the show.
I still haven't. I've done the show with COVID twice, and I had pink eye last week, as we all know.
You remind me of the days when I was growing up when they would give perfect attendance Sunday school certificates out. Yeah.
I know. I didn't set out to have perfect attendance, but now that I have, I feel like I have to keep it going. Like I will do the show from a hospital bed if I have to at this point, because being able to say April's never missed just feels like really type A and overachieverish, which I know is super annoying, but it's who I am. So we're gonna embrace it.
Well, we know that you're committed, unlike Jeremy Coleman.
Well, Jeremy's not here to defend himself, so
and
he's gonna send me some angry text in a few minutes.
Yeah, it's so ironic now that we had that, perfect attendance stuff, and now it's like, no, do not go to school, do not go to work if you're sick. Go home. So it's not a badge of honor.
No, that's true. I will definitely take care of myself. If I'm really not feeling it, I will step away. And y'all have definitely said, hey, April, if you need to take the night off, which last week actually felt okay. I just looked like I had a red demon eye. So it was a little scary. But I will. Am I cutting out?
No, I think I was having some mic issues there, but I was saying some say that you always have a demon eye. I know you have some Twitter fans that would call that. Oh, I think she does look like she has a demon eye with her. She's frozen up. Oh my gosh. Those are not great poses that she's freezing at.
Do I keep freezing?
You do keep freezing.
Dang it. In demonic poses. I think I caught that. Wow. What a blessing.
Yes.
From the Lord. Some Theo bro is going to screenshot this and tweet it at me later as proof that I am demonic. Anyway, we've got a wonderful show for y'all tonight. This is our last episode of season 2. We will start season 3 in January. But just as a reminder too, I don't remember the date, but sometime in January, we're going to do another private Zoom with our Beast and Antichrist level if you're part of our ish community. So you can go to evangelicalish.com and check out all of that. We'd love to chat with you. It's been so fun, the first 2 that we've had. And I don't think we have any other news at this point. Do we, Paul?
I think you got it.
Yay, go me. There's lots of stuff happening in the news, but one thing that we wanted to talk about before we get to Christmassy things, which we will talk about later this episode, is that Biden just officially signed the Respect for Marriage Act.
Woo-hoo.
So marriage equality has been protected to a degree. It's not a perfect bill, but it's okay. But we want to start this off with a video of some things that have gone down since this bill came into the news. So go ahead, Paul.
Today, a United States Congresswoman, my Aunt Vicky, started crying because gay people like me can get married.
I hope and pray that my colleagues will find the courage to join me in opposing this misguided and this dangerous bill.
So despite coming out to my aunt this past February, I guess she's still just as much as a homophobe.
Let's be clear. Obergefell is not in danger, but people and institutions of faith are.
Aunt Vicky, that's not right. Institutions of faith like religious universities are not being silenced. They're being empowered by the US government to discriminate against tens of thousands of LGBTQ students because of religious exemptions, but they still receive federal funding.
The bill's implications: submit to our ideology or be silenced.
It's more like you want the power to force your religious beliefs onto everyone else. And because you don't have that power, you feel like you're being silenced. But you're not. You're just going to have to learn to coexist with all of us. And I'm sure it's not that hard. Today, a United States Congresswoman, my Aunt Vicky.
I love how he says, my Aunt Vicky.
It's gotta be an
that
awkward
was
Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, that was Andrew Hartzler, whose aunt was the one who went viral for crying in Congress to try to get people to vote no on the bill. Like, just imagine crying over other people's happiness. Like,
Yeah.
I can't oppress people. Not to mention, there are religious exemptions in the bill. Like, churches and religious institutions are still going to be able to discriminate just like they were before.
It's what we do best.
I mean, it is Christian nationalism at its heart. It is the idea that if America allows gay marriage to be legal, America will be punished by a loving, good father who just loves to beat up his children and set them on fire when they don't meet his standards. I mean, it's so ludicrous. And Andrew said it very well and with a great smile on his face. Like, it's not that you're being oppressed, it's that you're not having the privilege that you had. And that feels like oppression to you. It's a very silly reaction to what's happening.
I also just, the fact that he came out to her back earlier this year, like, I don't know. I guess I always have this hope in me that if someone you love comes out to you, that you would change. And it's always disappointing when I see that, no, that didn't matter for some people. Some people are just going to stick with the bigotry.
Well, Dick Cheney, who is sorry, that's my phone ringing, who is a demon on earth, had his heart turned toward gay people when his daughter came out. If you have a family member come out, and I'm sorry, my microphone is doing something really weird. If you have a family member come out and it doesn't change your heart, something is wrong with you. Get a heart check.
Right. If Dick Cheney can have a change of heart.
Yes.
Dear God, what's wrong with you, Vicky? My aunt.
It's crazy.
I've also noticed that how some people, conservatives, have like this compartmentalized, like they'll do this, but it doesn't count to my family. Like, I'll say this, but I don't mean you. I just mean everyone else, kind of thing too.
Yeah, I do feel like there's a lot of people that are privately not even affirming, but just like, oh, we're cool, you know, like you can come over, whatever, like privately with their loved ones who are LGBTQ, but then publicly, like, they can't be associated with loving them because it hurts their brand or their career.
Right.
So you mean like Carrie Lake, who was very anti-drag queen, and then we find out she has a very good friend who is a drag queen and hired the drag queen to come to her house and do a performance. I mean, it just shows what's underneath all of this, that it is a political game. These aren't religious ideals, they are political ideals.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's been really laughable. I don't know if y'all have been on Twitter. The Theo Bros over this bill, not just Theo Bros, there's some annoying women too. The things that they're saying is they're so stupid. I'm not saying that to be mean. Like they're actually stupid. Like one guy, I don't know if y'all follow Samuel Say. He's just
I
a
do
big
not.
conservative Christian pundit. I don't follow him either. He shows up in my feed though, annoyingly. But he kept tweeting stuff like, one of his tweets was, gay marriage does not exist. And his point was that like God is who defines marriage, and God defined marriage as between one man and one woman. So therefore, gay marriage does not exist. It's just like you're just saying words, just digging, like putting your head in the sand even further and just pretending reality isn't reality. So obnoxious. Not to mention, the Bible has way more examples of polygamy than monogamy.
Like who? I mean, surely. I'm just kidding.
So was like, you're a priest.
It's always my standard response when I hear that one man, one woman thing. I'm like, well, you know who didn't agree with that?
Solomon?
King David.
Jacob?
Yeah. Jacob,
Solomon?
Abraham.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, technically,
King
even
David,
Paul,
man after God's own heart, had multiple wives and didn't believe in one man, one woman marriage.
not just multiple wives, like murdered someone to get a new one, which is fun.
You know,
Also,
I don't use
Paul.
Solomon because it's kind of like not really portrayed in a good light, but we never hear God saying, David, you shouldn't have
Didn't
multiple
God
wives.
give David more? Was it David more wives? There's a passage in there where it's like, and God gave him all these blessings, and like the wives were included.
Well, certainly the Bible says Jacob, is portrayed as righteous going after his second wife for sure. And there's nothing that says, and it was evil that he didn't believe in marriage being between one man and one woman.
Well, the first one didn't count because that's not who he wanted to marry anyway. So
she was ugly, so it didn't count.
Oh, yeah.
That's what the Bible says. I'm just quoting the Bible.
Oh, so sad. Also, Paul, who the Theo Bros love the absolute most. I'm pretty sure they would worship Paul before Jesus if they could. He was anti-marriage. He didn't like marriage at all. He's like, it's actually better to be single. But I don't hear these Theo Bros preaching that. They're just too busy talking about their smoking hot wives that love to do their bidding.
Are you saying Paul was the original incel?
You said that.
I'm going to get in trouble just by being associated with you guys.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. I mean,
you knew that coming into tonight, though.
Yeah, and we know there's a troublemaker brewing underneath there that we're going to find tonight. But why does it make you cry? That was the thing. Like when California, the Republicans put an anti-gay marriage initiative on the ballot years ago, and their goal was to get Republican voters out to get Arnold Schwarzenegger elected. And even then, as an evangelical pastor, a senior leader of a church, I was like, we have no reason to oppose gay marriage, guys. No reason. If you don't believe in it, just say we don't recognize that marriage. And you can do that, just like the Catholic Church says, well, the state of California can say you're divorced, but we say you're not. I mean, there's no damage to the Christian of just saying, hey, let the civil marriage code do whatever they want to do. That's not us. And she's crying about it in Congress. It's insane.
Well, first of all, Paul, we're not Christians unless we can control people.
Gotcha.
Touché.
And I don't think those tears were real. I think that was just a
crocodile tears,
blatant show, like driving home her point, because white women tears gets people's attention.
Especially, there's been a lot of people. I mean, obviously, my favorite new saying is that the heteros are upsetero. So I'm gonna just throw that.
I've never heard that.
Well, feel free to use it. I like it.
I
Anytime
love it.
I see people freaking out, just reply like, "Oh, another hetero upsetero." But like Sean Foyt and a bunch of these other Christian nationalists are screaming and playing the persecution card, which is just so frustrating because I swear people don't read, because the bill actually isn't that it's not that great of a bill for marriage equality. Like, it's better than nothing. It's a step in the right direction. Basically, what it does is that it's like a preemptive bill in case the Supreme Court is going to overturn gay marriage, like they did abortion. And if that happens, then what this bill does is if you are married in a state where it's legal, it protects your rights in states where it's not legal, where a state has to recognize your marriage if you were to move there or whatever. But it doesn't, it's not a federal enforced law. Like if the Supreme Court were to overturn it, states could then ban it. But there's religious exemptions all throughout this. Christian colleges, universities, and schools and churches, they still have the exemption where they do not have to perform gay weddings. They do not have to have gay people or queer people in leadership. They can still discriminate just like they were before. And the fact that they're still screaming persecution when they pretty much got everything in that bill that they could have wanted, I cannot express to you how maddening and frustrating that is.
It's very presumptuous of you to think that they'll read anything but the Bible.
Do they even read the Bible, though?
Oh, they don't read the Bible. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? They just Google verses that they've heard somewhere along the way that support their political narrative. But the crazy thing about this, too, I use that word crazy too much probably, but what's really is the reason this law had to be passed to not only protect gay marriage, but interracial marriage. There are still states that have laws against interracial marriage, is because a Supreme Court that has a black justice on it who is married to a white woman want to overturn the Supreme Court standard that protected gay marriage and interracial marriage.
Well, Mitch McConnell, too. He's married to one of my people.
That's right. That's right. Donald Trump likes to use very racist terms about her on a regular basis.
Oh, so what Donald Trump. Oof. We haven't talked about him in a while. Haven't missed it.
When he, announced he was running again, I'm like, welcome to the Hotel Mar-a-Lago. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. It just keeps coming back.
Yeah, they're just trying to go backwards, and especially in light of like the shooting that happened in Colorado with at the gay bar. Like they know that this causes violence. Like this type of rhetoric, saying that marriage is between one man and one woman, saying that it's an abomination, saying that these people are demonic, and not just with gay marriage, but especially trans issues and gender identities. Like those are very much being demonized. And it is causing actual harm, and it is leading to actual death. And this woman had the audacity to cry. No one's taking away her rights. No one's taking away her marriage. Someone else being happy does not diminish your own marriage and your own life. But it's go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but audacity is a perfect word because I had a friend who went and preached in China years ago. And he got there and they ushered him into this house. And he said there were people stuffed in every crevice of the house, sitting on top of each other. And he preached. And they then told him, go lay down. We have 3 more services happening tonight where it'll be a whole new crowd stuffed in here. All of them facing a penalty of going to prison for being there. And he said then, he did this several nights in a row. And at one point he had dinner with these 5 pastors and was just kind of talking about what was happening in Christianity around the world. So then he went back years later and he said, hey, I want to see those pastors again. And of the 5 pastors, 4 were either dead or in prison. So don't fucking talk to me about oppression, crying Aunt Lucy or whatever her name is.
Just because I can't say Merry Christmas, that is oppressive to me. I need to say Merry Christmas, and I need people to say Merry Christmas to me.
If I say Happy Holidays, will your head explode?
That's very oppressive. I don't know why you are oppressing me.
Oh, I know. The war on Christmas. Okay.
My friend said he just wanted to get on a plane and come home and kill every American Christian. If you are oppressed American Christian, I keep saying it, you are the wealthiest, most political, powerful, oppressed group in the history of the world. You are not oppressed. You're just assholes. And people
Do you remember
respond this
that-
way to
Do
assholes.
you remember that video a couple months or a while ago that went viral, but with these Christian kids on a plane, just all of a sudden, like they bust out the guitar and start singing praise songs?
Yep, I saw that.
Yeah.
And like
Cringe.
that's oppressive to the people who have to listen to them.
Oh yeah,
But-
there were people that looked so mad. The crazy thing is like I see crazy too much too, Paul. I realize it. The weird thing is
I'm
that
glad I'm not the only one.
no, I know. I'm trying to like be more like cognitive about that. But
Me too. Me
10,
too.
10 years ago, if I had seen that video of them doing worship on the plane, I would have been like, oh, praise God. You know, like what a way to witness. Like honestly, I probably would have done that at some point. I may have. I may have blocked it from my memory. I'm not sure. I wouldn't hold it
Don't
past
you-
me.
Don't you love like when people on Facebook will post like, I love Jesus. Bet you won't share this. You know,
Oh yeah.
I dare you
Shade
to
mail.
pass on this Bible verse. You know, you
Shade
bet
mail.
you'll be too ashamed to do it.
It's the best when it's like older people that don't really know how to use the internet that they share that meme and it's like this really creepy white Jesus that looks half dead and it's like my people will love and share this and then there's like this little Satan in the corner too and it says my people won't.
Yeah.
April, you
You
haven't
know-
done your TikTok videos of Facebook posts recently, like fairly recently.
I know I need to do it. I've been a little sick under the weather. I've got like 50 screenshots that I have not done anything with yet that I need to sift through and figure out what to do. But there'll be one coming. I'm trying to make a bunch this week that I can just put in my draft so that when all my family's in town for Christmas, I don't have to
Right.
actually shoot anything. I just have stuff ready to go. So
We-
yes,
we
things
used to
Christians
always-
post will be coming.
We used to always hear these stories about, you know, people going into Walmart and praying for somebody in the line at the checkout stand and the person getting healed and then talking over the intercom saying, hey, we're praying for healing in aisle 16. You know, come get your prayer.
Oh my god.
And I would always hear that thinking, and the poor checkout girl was soon fired and no longer has a job. You know, I mean, it's like,
Oh my god.
nobody oppresses and inserts themselves more into other people's lives than Christians in America. You're not oppressed. You're just assholes. And people respond poorly to
Can we talk
assholes.
too about like their war against pronouns, which is related? They get so triggered by pronouns. Like I don't know if y'all know do y'all know who Laverne Spicer is? She ran for
You're way into these people much more than I am. You,
well,
because
I
they
see
all
them.
are like firing at you all the time.
I'm
A lot
blissfully
of-
ignorant.
Okay, well, I'm gonna ruin your night. So, so this woman ran for Congress in Florida. I don't know if she won or not. I don't
Florida.
think she did. She's a Florida woman, but her name's Laverne Spicer.
Of course, it's Florida.
she has tweeted. She went viral earlier this year because she said that there were no pronouns in the Constitution. Being genuinely being like
We
pronouns.
the people.
Right. It literally starts with we. Anywho, literally today, she tweeted this: do not ever refer to my Lord Jesus Christ with pronouns. And so I went to her page and did a quick little search. Literally 2 days ago. So just 2 days ago, she tweeted, I only praise Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God. He brings peace to the world. He's the King of Kings. At the mention of his name, we bow. You are Lord of all. We praise thy powerful name. That's a lot of pronouns that she referred to her Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, with. I don't understand that. Do they not know what a pronoun is? Are they just being stupid? Or are
Yes.
they actually
Yes.
stupid? Are they being
Yes. No, I
Yes,
the
think they
and
above?
actually-
yes.
I've learned in the past 2 years that many of us need to go back to school, or just like we're just the ignorance of, you know, like when everyone's blaming Joe Biden for the high gas prices, and I was like,
Yeah.
that's not how this works. But-
Yeah.
Yeah. We can just the state of Arizona can just overturn Joe Biden's election. Just And I'll have all the time people will say something to me like, God created man in his image. And then I'm like, yes, male and female, he made them. He created them in his image, both the males and the females. They're both in God's image. I mean, it's like, you people are not bright. You're like not even good at being horrible, hateful, condemning Christians because you really don't know the Bible. And I would say, so I have to be honest that, the gay marriage issue, I've never stood against gay marriage at all. But would I have officiated a gay wedding years ago? And the answer is no, because it would have cost me my job, probably, is what the bottom line is. But I have to be honest, like, I had to wrestle with, would I be an officiant as a licensed minister at a gay wedding? And and there's the clobber passages in the Bible that we're hung up on.
Right.
Now, I think all of those are mistranslated and wrong, and we've missed it. But if I stipulate the Bible's homophobic, still, there's only 6 passages that talk about homosexuality in the clobber passages. And again, I don't think they do, but just putting it in the evangelical realm, 2,000, I've read almost 2,000 commands to seek justice. It's not just like take care of the poor, give them a homeless feed sometime. It is seek justice for the poor and the marginalized and the foreigner and the widow who is the economically disadvantaged. So when we're thinking about how do we look biblical and how do we look like Jesus, there's no question that we should be sitting with the marginalized, the LGBTQ community, and religious people should be angry at us for doing it. That's what Jesus looks like, not being the one crying because gay people are going to have marriage. It's being the one saying, this may even be against my theology, but I will still fight for these people because that's what Jesus would do. And I don't care what the Bible says. Just like for Peter, I don't care that my scripture says I shouldn't go hang out with a Gentile. To be Christ-like, I'm going to go hang out with a Gentile. And so I don't get where just the pure evil and anger and dark-heartedness comes from in this, when Jesus clearly never demonstrated that as a way to live life. So we can argue over the biblical translation of these things all day long, but there's no question the narrative of Jesus and of the Bible is to love those who truly are oppressed and marginalized and treated poorly in society.
Well, they would say that Jesus sat with the sinners, but they didn't stay sinners.
And Paul, I think you're wrong because I just feel that way.
But I tell you what, this is what I think it is at the end of the day, is that especially like the three of us who still identify Christian, but are fully LGBTQ affirming and a little more progressive, like they cannot be okay with gay marriage, because if they get to a place where they are, their whole worldview is going to fall apart. Their whole ideology, because that's one little like block holding up the Jenga tower. And if they knock that one off, the whole thing falls. So they have to cling to it, because I mean, I honestly think Christian, like really conservative evangelical people, the ones that are, not all of them, but the ones that are really outspoken and really loud against queer people and like the extra loud bigots, they are some of the most miserable people that I know. Like, they're not happy. And I honestly am not saying that to be funny, but like they genuinely, like, they're not happy. A lot of them have been divorced and had hard lives, but they're like clinging to, this is all going to be worth it because I'm going to go to heaven one day, and all these other people around me are going to go to hell. There's like
I'll
this,
get to
like,
make fun of them from heaven.
Right. It's almost like, well, all of this is going to be worth it when I get to heaven. So there's like chip on their shoulder, like, well, those people are happy. Ha! Joke's on them when they go to hell. And it's like, there's nothing loving about it. It's just, I honestly think so many evangelicals are living hell on earth. They won't tell you they are. They're not happy. Yeah. They say they have the joy of the Lord, but really it looks like they just drank a bunch of pickle juice. And they're
Well, that joy and happiness are two different things, April. They're two
I
different
know.
things.
Have joy in the dark seasons. Anyway,
It's absolutely true, and also it's the end all be all of every argument when you run out of argument. I posted a video the other day about contradictions in the Bible, and people will say, it's inerrant. There are no contradictions, and I'll say, okay, so one place it says the woman with the hair wiping Jesus' feet was at the house of Simon the leper, and another place it says it was at the house of Mary and Martha. One place it says Jesus was crucified on Passover. Another place it says he was crucified on the day of the preparation of the meal for Passover. So you would think that a really smart, omnipotent God would know the day he beat the shit out of his son on the cross. You would kind of remember that day and not make it. And so then what will they do? You're going to go to hell. Wait, you're going to find out at the end of life that you don't mock God. I mean, it's the ultimate get out of hell free card for the Christian. Like, if I can't argue anymore, I'll just tell you you're going to hell.
Were you going to say something, Joseph? You looked like you had something really profound to say.
Oh, no. I was just thinking about how much more fun hell would be without them. Kind of what Abby said.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if the flex of going to heaven with them, like they think that's a flex.
My hell.
That's not like I'll just go to hell. Thanks. All the cool people are going to be there. All the happy people.
If heaven means hanging out in eternity, hanging out with you for eternity, not a fucking chance I'm going to do that.
No thanks. Oh my gosh.
Man.
So let love be love and marriage be marriage. And if you don't want to do it in your church, you are protected. Hey, when the mayor of Houston, a gay woman, tried to get every church in Houston, I don't know if you were there then, Joseph, to turn in sermon notes because of hate speech,
I was here. I remember that.
And did not the citizens of Houston rally for the churches? And I will do that too. If somebody wants to start doing that to the churches, I will fight for the churches. They have every right to have their in-house beliefs, but the second it starts coming outside the walls, that's a problem.
Right.
It's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's still, the belief's still very harmful because they're raising children within it. A lot of them are going to be queer. I don't know if y'all saw, but like 40% of Gen Z right now identify LGBTQ. 30% of Gen Z Christians identify LGBTQ.
It's because they've been indoctrinated in those public schools.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. It's so dumb. Like, I haven't talked about this too publicly just because it's whatever. I maybe we'll tell the whole story someday. But like, Beecher lost. What is that comment? Joseph is stunned by all the cussing.
Joseph is stunned by my cussing.
I have just about as much as potty mouth. Just that my son can hear me in the next room. I don't want him to repeat anything I say.
They can't hear me, can they?
License. I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, all that to say is, yes, Beecher, my spouse, pretty much lost their job because they came out non-binary as a they them at this conservative college that they worked at. And like, I
didn't know that.
Yeah, because Beecher came out, was hoping that they could keep their job, was wanting to come out, was like suffocating, like it was really dark at certain times. And the president of the university was like, I'm okay with having queer students, but I can't have a faculty be that. Even though Beecher and I are still married, we're still together. Like, literally nothing has changed other than how Beecher presents sometimes, and that they're just being open about who they are. And they're like, no, yeah. And even in the moment, like, they asked Beecher, like, well, what's your theology? And Beecher explained their theology. And the president was like, well, like, didn't have a comeback for it. Because there's really, like, the Bible really doesn't say anything about trans. Like, the Bible says that God made male and female, but it also says God made land and water, but marshlands and swamplands exist. Like, it's two sides of a spectrum. Like, God made these two ends and everything in between. So they don't really have any theological backing. Their theological backing on transgender issues is actually quite weak. But they still were like, well, no, it's a culture war. And now that school, it's like you can't be queer at all. Like they're completely going. They took a hard right.
Of course.
They at their annual convention this last summer, it's Church of God in Cleveland, Tennessee. One of the pastors got up and announced to everyone that they talked to their lawyers and they can openly discriminate, not just against if you're queer, but if they find out that someone who works for a Church of God institution, it uses someone's correct pronouns that was not assigned at biological, they could get fired. Like it just really pisses me off. Like the church and Christians are so, like, they are harming so many queer people. And it really just pisses me off that they can even pretend that this hurts them at all.
And they're just mean.
So mean.
I mean, they just go over the top to be mean. Joseph Dennis had asked earlier of your thoughts on the schism in the UMC over gay marriage and affirmation of LGBTQ plus.
That is the biggest reason why they're splitting, yes. But the conservative side has masked it as a theological issue, saying that the UMC does not believe in the Christology of Christ anymore. So instead of, I mean, what they did was very clever because, you know, there might be people who might have LGBTQI people in their family. So if you vote to leave UMC, you're kind of voting against them. But how the conservatives framed it is the UMC doesn't believe that Jesus is God. So what you're now voting for is a theological issue. And you're like, well, if the UMC doesn't believe in God anymore, then we don't want to be part of that. And they masked it cleverly to make it about a theological issue and not a human issue. So in Texas, 2 weeks ago, the Texas Annual Conference lost 49% of the churches to the GMC. So 49% churches disaffiliated to join the GMC.
Wow. Wow. We always find reasons to split up, don't we?
Well, of course they're going to make it a theological. They find ways to make it to where they don't come across as unloving as they're actually being.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
There's an interesting book called, I think it's called Transforming, by a pastor named Austin Harkey, who is a trans male. And it was so interesting as I read this. Austin was talking about the fact that you look at the chosen characters in the Bible, that Jacob, was the kitchen boy who hung out with his mama, and Esau was the big burly alpha male, and God chose Jacob, and then his son Joseph wearing the coat of many colors. And some say you can actually interpret that passage as he was wearing princess clothing, the clothing that princesses wear, that he was wearing women's clothing. And David, who is a harpist and a poet, and loves Jonathan like a woman. And so interesting that when Samuel says to Jesse, bring all your sons because I'm going to name one of them king, Jesse doesn't even bring David in the room. David's not in the room. Why? Now, there's some thought that maybe David was a bastard and the brothers didn't even know he was their brother. But just, you look at David and he danced in a way that was so offensive to his wife that she left the castle and never came back and didn't want to be queen anymore. So this idea, and Jesus, I don't think we read about him doing a lot of dating and alpha mailing around women. So the Bible chooses these men with wonderful feminine characteristics and powerful feminine characteristics. And why are we so afraid of it? It's just mind-boggling. And again, I think it's because Christians never actually read the Bible. And if they do, they read it through their filter. But it's okay, Christians. It's okay to let people love each other. God's not going to be mad at you for that. I promise.
I agree. Applause.
Applause. All right, let's take a quick break and let's talk Christmas pageants.
Evangelicalish. Follow us to catch all the latest content and encouragement. You can check us out on TikTok by following @Evangelicalish or subscribe on YouTube by searching Evangelicalish. That's evangelical with an ISH. And don't forget to catch our live streams each and every single Wednesday night on YouTube at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, and 6 Pacific. And now, back to the Evangelicalish podcast.
Oh, this is so funny. I grabbed a Christmas mug and I thought it said Merry Christmas, but it actually says Merry and Bright. So
Ooh, that
evil
you
coffee
took
mug.
Christ out of that mug.
Oppression.
I feel persecuted right now through the screen. How rude.
It is the holiday season.
It's
wait.
the holiday season. Oh, nope. That's bad. That's demonic right there.
You know, the irony about the anger over Christmas versus happy holidays is that holidays literally mean holy days. So happy
Paul,
holidays.
Paul, your problem is you use your brain.
Dumb it down. You got to dumb it down. Remember when everyone freaked out over the Starbucks cups
Oh,
a few years ago?
My favorite
Oh.
thing was pastors telling people to boycott Starbucks by going into the store, ordering a drink, and telling them your name is Merry Christmas, so that they have to say Merry Christmas. And it's like, that's not how boycotting works. You're still giving them money. Starbucks can care less what you do. You're paying them. They're
To say Merry Christmas.
Ugh,
It's
What?
so
Stupid.
dumb.
And again, it's Jesus told us love our neighbors as ourselves, and our neighbor is that Samaritan down the road. You know, so-
joke's on you. I don't love myself.
yeah, very.
I know. I think that's why they don't love people. They just don't love themselves.
I think
Truly,
you're right.
it's because they're miserable.
But not everybody celebrates Christmas. So what do you? If I say Happy Holidays, I'm covering Hanukkah, Kwanzaa. You know, the whole gamut. Why not say Happy Holidays?
Can I confess something?
What's that?
Not so flattering. Back in my Republican days, I totally bought into the war on Christmas. And I would like go shopping and I would say like to the clerk, I would say Merry Christmas like very emphatically, like expecting pushback. I never
you
got
wanted
it.
oppression.
I literally, this is really bad. This is so bad. But I remember there was a Muslim woman that was checking me out and I
Oh,
like
no.
said Merry Christmas to her. Like I wasn't being mean, but I was just like, oh, what is she gonna say? And she literally just said Merry Christmas back. It was
Yeah.
nothing. She was so nice. And I always was so disappointed every time I wasn't persecuted because I had been told that I would, and it literally I just never was.
And maybe
Never
that's
was.
why we make up situations to feel like we're persecuted, because we're not.
Yeah. I think that's it, Joseph. Bro Joe. We joked earlier because
Bro Joe.
Joseph's a reverend, so I was like, I'll call you Brother Joseph, like Bro Joe, Bro Joe. And he said no
Love it.
one's ever called him that before. Isn't that surprising? I think Bro Joe is pretty epic.
Yeah, you can take that one. This was one for me. My parents got very upset about Xmas. You're taking
Mm.
Christ out and then not knowing that X is
Right.
the symbol of Jesus. Because again, we don't think as Christians, we just squeal and scream. We don't take a breath and think about what we're saying. So
Patrick asked, I remember Bill O'Reilly doing those yearly segments on Fox News, the War on Christmas. Yes, I do. That's why I was so riled up every time. I watched those every night. And then Paul W in the chat says April was literally the worst. It's fine. I was literally the worst. So I admit it. I do this to myself all the time.
somebody did a brilliant piece on the Fox when the Fox News Christmas tree burned down, and you know, we will rebuild the Christmas tree. we're not going to. We're going to stand up to this oppression. It's like
So
we're going
dumb.
to storm Omaha Beach and rebuild the Christmas tree. They just imagine themselves to be so heroic. But it is the season of the Christmas pageant. Now, I think for many of us, Christmas pageant meant our children getting up on stage and singing Silent Night really poorly, but you loved it because they were so cute. But for a church in Texas, Christmas pageant, well, they do everything bigger in Texas, So let's see where that tab is. Here it is.
Oh, you got like the actual performance.
Oh
of
yeah, I saw
this.
the dress rehearsal. I didn't. Wow.
Yeah, I saw the
This-
dress rehearsal too. I didn't see the real one. Wow, their clothes are lit up.
Yes. How about that?
If you're listening, their drummer's flying, and there's lights. Like their clothes are literally lighting up with the drum in sync with the music.
And look at this. I mean, is this a drone they're using, or is this a
GoPro. I guess
GoPro.
it's connected to the zip line.
Look at that building?
So
Holy
this-
mackerel.
I'm pretty sure this is still Prestonwood Baptist, which is in Plano, Texas. I've been to not this specific show, but I've been to one of their Christmas shows before, and it is, I mean, it's very well done. It is $1 million, top notch. The performances, the singers, it is so over the top. It's a bit ridiculous.
As is their video production. Good Lord, look at this.
Mm-hmm.
And just remember, not a dime of property tax paid on that building.
I'm pretty
Oh, and
sure
they
they
have
sell
liturgical
tickets.
dancers too.
I think they sell tickets to it. Hold on,
No.
I'm gonna double check that.
No sales tax on the tickets. I got to admit, this is a pretty cool show.
No, it's good.
That's pretty.
Takes
That's-
one person to fall, and they'll never do it
Yeah,
again.
tickets on sale now. So you have to buy tickets to this event.
Oh my gosh. All right, I stand impressed and disgusted all at the same time.
They're expecting thousands of people to attend the multi-day production. I just saw that they responded to the backlash that they were getting for that video that was going viral. I'm trying to see what they said. I'm sure it's something stupid. Hold on.
So,
No.
so Joseph, you're a pastor of a church. While she's looking that up, how do you feel about a pageant like that?
Well, how much money would I personally take home if we were selling tickets? Then I might be more for it. I'm just kidding. It just seems, I get it. I get what they're doing this, why they're doing this. I understand that they also have the budget, and then the circus of it all, people coming to your buildings. That's all that counts. If just you don't know whose soul's going to be saved, so let's get as many people in the doors as
Mhm.
possible. I get it. But I think we miss completely what the season is about. Just like the church in Dallas that drops Easter eggs from a helicopter.
Mhm.
I get the whole let's get as many people onto our campus so that we can save their souls mentality. But would I do it? No. But I think it's excessive, but who's to say what works and what not? Well, maybe someone's soul will be saved, and maybe one soul out of the thousands of people that come and the millions of dollars spent is going to be worth it. I don't know.
If
Here-
just one soul gets saved, brother.
Here was the Prestonwood official church response to their backlash. For more than a quarter of a century, Prestonwood has pulled out all the stops in celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ during Christmas. We are grateful to have the opportunity to share this grand celebration of our Savior with as many as 75,000 people each year through the gift of Christmas.
Damn.
At Prestonwood, we believe Jesus deserves our absolute best, especially at Christmas. It's unfortunate that the perennial American tradition of the church Christmas program now draws hateful ire from some. We pray that they too may come to know the joy of Christmas and the love of our Savior. I just want to remind them that our King Jesus did not, that's literally part of the Christmas message, is that he
It's
was
the
not
opposite
born.
of Christmas message.
He was not born with lights and in a fancy golden room with all the stops pulled out. He literally was
Flying in
born
on a zip line.
manger.
They're
That
basically
is-
saying, if we were there, this is not how Jesus would be born.
I
So
know.
let's have a redo and let's show how.
Yeah, we would have rolled out the red carpet for Jesus. So,
But
that's
this isn't about Jesus anymore. It's about them.
Yeah.
This is about Prestonwood, whatever Baptist church. It's not about the birth of Jesus, because there's that little meme, the more positive one that says, if you want to put Christ back in Christmas, go serve the poor, go love your neighbor, go forget. How much more? What could they do in their community if they decided to use that money to strengthen the poor in their neighborhoods? However, that's not going to get people in their doors. And it doesn't matter that you're saving and changing people's actual lives. What matters is that you can mark off, we got another baptism.
It's
Yeah.
about
So-
numbers. I mean, even the fact
Butts
that they
in the
said
seats.
75,000
God.
people.
And I'll bet you of that 75,000, 2/3 at least, if not way more, are other Christians from other churches.
Oh yeah,
Right.
they're just stealing from other churches.
But the thing is, you know, Jesus said, "Go and make disciples," not go and make converts. He didn't say grow the Christian religion. He said, you know, walk with people as disciples. And I had a Christian ethicist on my own podcast the other day, and he was talking about this idea, and I hear it from people all the time. You know, you should be talking about saving souls, not about Donald Trump. It's all about saving souls. And you know, so it's this idea of like, yeah, the Bible talks about taking care of the poor, but our job is really to get people to heaven. And this Christian ethicist, Dr. David Gushy, that I had on, was saying the reason the emphasis is on getting souls to heaven is because Southern plantation owners needed to be able to make it okay to own other people. So instead of a social justice Jesus, they changed Jesus to a get to heaven Jesus. And, you know, so now you even hear people today say, well, I'll tell you what, those African-American people are lucky they came to a Christian nation where they're finding out about Jesus, because it doesn't matter if you own somebody as long as you get them to heaven. And I'm sorry. So I'm a little torn. I love the production. I think churches should do things as well as they can do them. But I think Joseph's point is more poignant. This is about trying to grow the numbers of a church, not about adding people to the kingdom of heaven and doing what a church ought to be doing.
I also think there's a difference between what Prestonwood does as a church with, like, I mean, that's $1 million plus production in a multi-million-dollar facility. And it's another thing when you're looking at smaller churches that put on kids programs that are just doing a live nativity, and the kids are messing up their lines, and it's cute and it's chaotic. Like
Yes.
I don't have a
no
problem with that.
No.
Zero problem with that. It's the production of it all, because I feel like it's the antithesis of everything Jesus actually stood for. It was all about being humble and meek and not putting on a show. And, you know, Jesus told the religious leaders, like, what you do, like the good things you do and what you do for me, do in secret, and not put on this elaborate show of like, oh, look how holy we are. Look how much we love God. Look at what we're willing to do for Jesus. And I just think that there's a fine line, not to mention like churches, like when you're at a mega church level, like Prestonwood, you're bringing in millions of dollars. Jack Graham, the pastor, he's a millionaire.
Yeah.
He is doing very well for himself. He does not live a humble life pastoring that church. So they are making money. They're nonprofit that they're not paying taxes on. That they could be putting back into the community. That is taxes that are being robbed of the community, which is making the locals actually have to pay more in taxes, because
Right.
large churches like Prestonwood are not paying any taxes. That is prime real estate that they are getting from the government tax free. So,
Well, you know,
like, and did you see there's a video of Jesse Duplantis, who's a pastor of a mega church.
I did see it.
Did you see that, where he's bragging from the pulpit about the gold on his shoes?
He was talking. Was he also the one talking about how his current watch cost more than his first home? Or was that a different?
Yes,
guy?
the same guy. Yes, like the money that some of these pastors are bringing in is astronomically high. It's
What am I doing wrong?
I'm
you're
not
actually
sure wrong.
following Jesus.
I'm not sure
Joseph.
wrong is the right word.
That's debatable, but like.
By the way,
right.
the quote I heard from that Jesse Duplantis sermon was, he said, a man came up to me and said, you're a millionaire. And I told him, no, I'm not. That's false information. Put the word multi in front of that. Multi-millionaire. This was a pastor.
Did they not read where Jesus said that it's nearly impossible for a rich man to enter into heaven?
Oh, but that didn't apply to us. It was a certain situation. But
Adam
gay
and Eve are
marriage-
literal.
But gay marriage.
Adam and Eve and Jonah are literal stories, and Job, but that's hyperbole. That's metaphor. April, come on.
I know.
Come
Also, they love to use Matthew 19 to talk about marriage between man and one woman, when really Jesus is just condemning divorce. I literally know like a pastor's wife who's been married 4 times, who's
And you know
super
what's
against gay marriage, but she's
I think
fine.
it's-
She's fine on her 4th marriage.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that I ordered some Warby Parker sunglasses the other day, and every time you buy a pair of Warby Parker sunglasses, they give a pair of free glasses to a child in need.
Socialists.
Yeah. So here's a church doing a multi-million-dollar production, and nowhere in what you read, April, did it say, and with the proceeds, we're going to do this to meet the commands of the Bible to seek justice for the poor, the foreigner, the marginalized, and the economically disadvantaged. Warby Parker and our culture knows this justice with the world is really important in this capitalist space.
Yeah,
but
they'll probably
doesn't.
say all proceeds go into the church outreach fund, which is just to put on more multi-million-dollar
Which
productions.
goes to fund the pastor's private plane.
Yeah, because he goes out and he reaches people on that private jet.
So yeah, if they said, hey, the profits from this show are going to do this project, do this for our city, I probably would say, okay, fine. Put on a great show if you have that capability. I'm good. But if it's just about adding people to the roles, claiming you're doing it for the kingdom, and adding money to shore up that end of year tithing gap,
Right.
I've got a big problem
all of
with
these
that.
churches are going to have their little bylines of like, look at all the money we gave. And they're all to like organizations that they're close knit with, like we packed a bunch of backpacks this year and we gave them to school age kids. Like they do a lot of the stuff that's just like, like white people just throwing money at things, but they're not doing anything that actually tears down like systemic oppression and like stuff that would actually help the community.
And the backpack drive doesn't cost the church anything because the people bring the backpacks.
Right. People donate their time and they bring their own stuff.
We did the research on this in a church network that I was on the board of, and most churches spend well over 75 to 80% of their income on staff salary and building. And of the other 20%, most of that ministry money is in-house ministry to people who come to the building. Yeah. Almost none of that money goes outside the building. And I really do think if churches want to keep their tax-free status, they ought to be required to show we're giving at least, I don't know what the number should be. Maybe I would go for 40%. 40% of our income goes to meet the 501c3 standard and the biblical standard of helping the poor and the community and the marginalized and all those things. Or I'm definitely in the let's start taxing the churches kind of mode if they're not meeting that standard.
But how could Jesse Duplantis have gold shoes? If he did that, it'd be so sad. Another debate going around Christmas and church is that Christmas falls on a Sunday this year. And there's a huge debate I've seen on Twitter. Some pastors are uber mad. Some guy tweeted like, if your pastor cancels church on Christmas, you should cancel your pastor and get a new church, because that's the best way to celebrate Christ's birth is to be at church, and that it's like demonic to be at home with your family. And as someone like Beecher used to work full-time for a church, and I was a volunteer worship leader. And one year, Christmas wasn't even on a Sunday, but we had 2 Christmas Eve services and 4 Christmas Eve services, and we didn't have family locally. We had to fly Christmas Day home. Like, we pretty much missed our Christmas completely, and we were completely burnt out. Like, that is like nonstop church for 2 days when you include practices. I was volunteer. Beecher was paid, but underpaid and overworked, as one is at a church. And it really, like, it's not, I think family is holy, is sacred time, spending that time, and to force your staff to come to church. I don't like it. I
It's not
disagree.
forced if they love Jesus.
You can love Jesus at home.
No, I really
What are you guys doing, Joseph?
Yeah,
Christmas
so-
and New Year's on a Sunday this year.
I really did not want to work on Christmas and New Year's Day.
Mm.
And we're a small church. We just hired one other person, so it's me, this our office admin / children's person, and then our musician. That's basically it's basically a gig. Like we pay him each Sunday to play. So I was gonna give everyone a day off, like spend time with your family. But then a friend mentioned that his church is opening up spaces for people that might just need a space on Christmas Day. And I was like, that's so privileged of me to think that everyone has family or family that they like. So we're going to hold both days. We're going to hold a gathering. It's not going to be like a church. And I told my staff, my 2 people who work with the church, like, you don't have to come. This is going to be really small and whatever. I know how to play guitar. We'll sing some Christmas songs on Christmas Day. Well, I'll go, Starbucks is open, so I'll get some coffee and donuts, and just we'll sing some Christmas songs and listen, go through our liturgy as Episcopalians, and just offer space for those who might want to get out of their home, might not have community to hang out with. And then on New Year's Day, if you're not hungover, just come over and we'll have church and we'll do morning prayer. And if you just want to be away from home, come. Our space is open and we'll just hang out. Nothing formal, nothing, So I decided that I will work, and my wife gave me the blessing. But we're both Korean, so she was like, "You're gonna cancel church?" And I was like, "Yeah, why not?" But I'm opening services just to provide space for those who might want to be in a community gathering, and if not, that's fine. Just be me and my family.
Yeah.
That's cool too.
I can appreciate that though, because I feel like that's being the church. Like that is providing
That's beautiful. Yeah.
space for people that, like that's just being part of the community and opening your doors to people that may not have a place to go.
Hold on. I want to know how to spend $15,000 on a vacation. What is going on? See, I know I'm doing something wrong.
Oh, Abby in the chat said pastors and financial experts can spend almost $15,000 on a vacation. She works at a luxury hotel. She said she's seen many Christian celebrities come in that spend ample amount of money.
Isn't that ironic words too, or oxymoron? Christian celebrities, like.
Well,
but I want to be one too, by the way. So I'm just kidding.
Go for it.
I'm not kidding, but still.
Here's the really dirty little secret about Sunday morning Christmas. We cringed at it whenever a holiday landed on that weekend because we couldn't afford to not have church. We were, so we couldn't afford it. We had to have that offering. Right. You have to have those 4 offerings a month to make your nut, and particularly December, which is the month where you really start pushing into the tax year, you better get your gift in, because I think it was something like 70% of our income came in November and December. And so Christmas Sunday morning church or Christmas landing on a Sunday put us in financial peril.
But now that there's online giving, that should somewhat alleviate.
You're right. I'm a little more old school. Yeah, you're right.
But
and we used to tell people, I think we had a Christmas Eve service and then we did like a New Year's Eve dance, I think actually at our church that year, the last time this happened. But we had to just tell people repeatedly in the weeks leading up, like, make sure you get in your offering, get it in. We're not going to take up an offering on Christmas Eve. We're not going to, get your offering in, because we had to make the nut,
kind of to brag about myself. For as long as I've been a pastor, on Christmas Eve, we would, I'm calling it impact offering, but we used to call it miracle offering, like where we would partner with a local organization, and every dollar that we receive on Christmas Eve will go to that partner, that organization, because Christmas is not your birthday, so let's really make an impact in someone's lives. And one of the churches I worked at refused to do this, and I was like, okay, it's time for me to leave. If you're so worried about keeping lights on in our building, it's just one offering, and you have 700 people on average coming into the doors. If you just offer just this one thing, we could change an organization. Like we could give them a staff that they're looking for, whatnot. But they're like, no, we can't afford that. And I was like, what? So
Yeah.
that was.
I mean, I can see the nuance of the conversation, but the idea that pastors that do cancel it so that they can be with their family are somehow demonic or less than a pastor is stupid to me. Like the money thing makes sense that you have to keep, if you're, especially for smaller churches who are just trying to survive. But at the end of the day, like one thing that bothered me so much about when you were in it, you don't really think about it, but the church that we were at, it was like a 4,000 member church in Virginia, multi-satellite campus church. They kept saying like, this is your life. This is not a job. They really like the spiritual manipulation that happened, that it was just awful. And I remember a bunch of us had gone to our worship pastor because we would have worship practice on Thursday nights from like 6 to 10, super long. And then we'd have Saturday church where we would be at the church from like 3 to 9. And then we had 3 services on Sunday morning. So we would be there from like 7 a.m. to 1:30. And these were all volunteers. I didn't get paid to do this. And so a bunch of us kind of went to
You're getting paid with your seat in heaven.
I know. Seriously. They're like, well, your reward will be in heaven.
Laying up treasures in heaven.
But we went to our worship pastor. Some of us were like, we're kind of getting burnt out, like with the multi-campus, like we would be switched all the time. It was just super chaotic. And the worship pastor was feeling burnout too, because he was in charge of all this stuff and was not paid what he should have done. So he went to the head pastor and just kind of said like, hey, feeling a little burnout. And literally later that night, we had a leadership summit meeting for like the leaders of the church. And the pastor gets up and his whole sermon is about how if you're feeling burnout, it's because your heart's just not in the right place.
Sin in your life.
Yeah, it's that, you're just not praying enough. You're not reading your Bible enough. It's a you thing. Like God would never let you be burnt out when you're doing kingdom work.
Oh my God.
So
y'all sound like Koreans.
Such gaslighting.
Oh yeah, it was just so normal. It was so culty. Once we got out of that, we looked back like, oh my gosh, that was awful.
I have a message, by the way, for the Christians that are upset about the Merry Christmas thing. Christmas is a pagan holiday. By the way, Jesus probably wasn't born in December. A Christmas tree is a pagan symbol. It's a pagan symbol. If I can run one more thing, the wise men were not at the manger. Your creche is wrong. They weren't there. Mm-hmm. They came about 2 years later. It's just so funny for me that Christians get hung up on this silly stuff. And by the way, the Catholic Church stole Christmas from the winter solstice pagan holiday and made it Christian. And almost all of the symbols of Christmas are pagan symbols. Mm-hmm. Twice a year, I would have people come to me and say, we shouldn't be celebrating Easter. It's a pagan holiday,
This is why Paul's going to hell.
As long as I'm not with those Merry Christmas Christians, I'm okay with that.
Okay, well, we were going to end on something kind of fun. We were going to just share.
And in Silent Night, when it said, little Lord Jesus, no crying, he cried. He cried. He crapped his diaper.
Oh, there's no way that baby didn't cry. If he was fully human.
Kind of segueing to the next, I just want to let everyone know that Jeremy Coleman's favorite Christmas song is this Baby, It's Cold Outside. Baby, It's Cold Outside.
Oh.
This is his favorite Christmas song. He said that. I have a text.
He does have the text. I just to clear Jeremy's name before he gets canceled. That was his least favorite. So we said that everyone was going to share our favorite Christmas song and our least favorite. So since Jeremy's not here, I will read his least favorite, as Bro Joe said, is Baby It's Cold Outside. And Jeremy's favorite is Celebrate the Day by Reliant K. So Joseph, as our guest co-host, would you like to go next?
My least favorite Christmas song is, I think, "Mary Did You Know," because I fucking think she did. So can we stop asking her?
Yeah, I think
Like,
an angel. I think an angel came and told her.
she knew.
An Episcopalian pastor says the F-bomb. Oof.
Hey, you should hear my bishop. I was going to say, but never mind. I didn't say that. And my favorite is "Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays" by the NSYNC, the one and only true boy band.
Joseph.
Nice.
That was gonna be mine.
Backstreet Boys can get the hell out. They need to retire.
Oh, I did, but I like the Backstreet Boys too.
Although Justin Timberlake has been very problematic, so I don't know how
He
to
has
feel about
been.
that.
Lance Bass though,
Mm,
killing it on TikTok. I love him. He's
But-
hilarious.
when we talk about boy bands, I think BTS beats all of them. So,
BTS.
but I guess for the church one, churchy one, "Oh Holy Night," you can't, especially when Mariah sings it.
Mm.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Oh, Holy Night's a good one. Paul, what about you?
the ultimate man.
The first I have to say, every time "Baby It's Cold Outside" came on the radio when my kids were young, they would say, "Dad, this song is about date rape. Turn it off. It's a date rape song," which it really is if you listen to it.
Yeah. It's a
Pretty
fun
sure.
song to sing though. The tune's very catchy.
It is a good song.
Problematic lyrics. I yeah.
Can we change the lyrics?
We can.
Uh,
Sure, why
I'm
not?
sorry to interrupt. Abby, it's not slander when it's true.
I like
Oh,
Backstreet Boys though.
She
so
says not the
wanna fight
Backstreet
me.
Boy slander.
Paul, what's your? Did you say your favorite?
I did
yet?
not. So I, as Joseph noted, if you hear Mariah Carey sing "Oh Holy Night" and don't get saved, you just don't have a soul. I'm sorry. You will become a Christian again if you listen to Mariah sing "Oh Holy Night." But
Mm.
if I'm fully honest, my favorite Christmas song is "Last Christmas" by Wham. I cannot get enough of it.
Last Christmas, you
Love that
gave
song.
me my heart. It is a
But
good
the
one.
very next day. And then I have like every version every singer has ever sung of it. I love "Last Christmas." And the worst, what did I put? So Pentatonics, do you guys know who Pentatonics is?
Yes, I love them.
They have wonderful Christmas albums, and they have a song called "White Winter Melody." That's a beautiful song. And again, if you listen to the words, it's a song about a boy falling in the snow and busting his skull open. It's really wild. I mean, it's a beautiful tune. You're humming along, and then you hear the words, and you're like,
So that's your least favorite?
Nah, I just had to throw that in as one of my candidates. It's like, remember "Pumped Up Kicks," the song "Pumped Up Kicks," where you're like, this is one of the coolest songs ever.
With the pumped up
Kicks, you
Yeah, I
better
like that
run,
song.
better run, outrun my gun. And then you listen to the words, and it's about a school shooting, and it's crazy. Now, "Little Drummer Boy" is by far the worst Christmas song. I mean, it's just, I hate the tune. It doesn't make any sense. I brought my
It's
drum.
very slow.
I hate "Little Drummer Boy."
Come, they told me. By the way, Ryan just said asked if I shared the Kenneth Copeland movie trailer. I haven't yet, but I'll tell y'all. Apparently, back several years ago, Kenneth Copeland played a Italian gangster in a movie his church made, and he's like,
no,
I'm serious. I'll send it to y'all after this.
No,
It's called
by
like The Rally or something.
acting like an
Super
Italian.
cringe.
Oh,
Yeah,
my
no,
God.
he's like, it is cultural appropriation, like 100%.
By the way, Abby corrected me, and she's right. The Pentatonic song is called "White Winter Hymnal." I was following the
Making murder catchy.
Making murder
catchy. Yeah.
Okay, so my favorite, I had written down two that were possibly my favorites that I couldn't decide because I have like my different reasons, right? Like the NSYNC one is sentimental because that's like my generation. Like a classic one, I guess my favorite would be "I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas." But I actually think my favorite one that like that I like singing because I would sing it in choir is "Carol of the Bells."
Oh,
Yeah, there's just so many layers. And my least favorite Christmas song, I will change the channel if this comes on because it is evil. It's "Christmas Shoes."
Oh my god, that's
don't know
right.
that
I
song.
forgot about that.
You don't know that song?
I don't
Paul?
know that song. No.
About the kids
Well,
like,
you're gonna
so
have
I
to
want to
listen to it.
buy these shoes for my mama,
I
please.
forgot
'Cause
about that song.
his mom's like dying of cancer.
Oh,
And the clerk's
yes.
like,
How
too
could I
bad,
have
little
forgotten?
kid. You
Yeah.
don't have enough money for the shoes. Sucks to suck.
Isn't she
Nope.
worried in heaven or something?
And then
Yeah,
like,
he's like-
doesn't like a pedo like end up buying the shoes for him or something?
Did you just say a
A
pedo?
pedo?
A pedo, yeah.
I don't think that was in the song.
Oh, it wasn't. It wasn't.
I think it was just some random guy because the clerk had no soul. Whoever was behind the counter was like, suck
A
that kid.
random guy. Exactly. Exactly.
Why is the kid in the store alone? Where are his parents? That song is just so stupid. Honestly, if I listen to the whole thing, it makes me cry and I hate it because it's so emotionally manipulative.
Oh yeah, it's awful.
Because it's like, oh, I want her to look good when she sees Jesus tonight or whatever. Like she's dying that night. Like, kid, go spend time with your mother. She's dying. Get out of the store.
Let him cope with how his mom, let him cope with his feelings. How dare you tell another person how to grieve?
It's more just the whole stupid song.
It is a stupid
So
song. I
wanna
forgot that
buy
existed.
these shoes.
It's kind of like that story about where the woman sold her hair to get her husband something, and the man sold the something to get a brush for her hair. You guys remember that story?
Yeah, something like that. All those stupid stories.
I am though. I've noticed on TikTok there's kind of a regular thing going on of people talking about how they hate Christmas music. I am the opposite. I am a Christmas music nut. I start playing it like October 1st.
Ew.
And
no.
have every
No.
every Santa Claus is Coming to Town by Bruce Springsteen.
This is why you're going to hell. This is why.
No, you gotta let Halloween breathe, Paul.
Nah, Halloween is overrated.
I'm in the guest room because it's the only room that's clean.
Joseph's chilling in a bedroom floor. It's very chill. I like it. So
And my wife went to work, so I don't know if my kid's sleeping or not. He might just be walking around because I'm not checking up on him.
Oh dear. I'm gonna.
The problem I have with Christmas music is that the reason everybody makes Christmas music is you make a shitload of money off of it, and you make it forever if you make a classic.
Like Mariah Carey?
Like Mariah Carey, absolutely. Because she had that one, and All I Want for Christmas Is You, which is another one that she probably gets a huge check for every year. It's a great song.
Just listen to these lyrics. Sir, I want to buy these shoes for my mama, please. It's Christmas Eve and these shoes. It's Christmas Eve and these shoes are just her size. Could you hurry, sir? Daddy says there's not much time. You see, she's been sick for quite a while, and I know these shoes would make her smile. And I want her to look beautiful if Mama meets Jesus tonight.
Oh,
it's evil. It's evil.
Hey, but how do we know that they're gonna meet Jesus right after they die? Like, isn't there a debate of how long it takes? Like, what about purgatory? I guess they're not Catholic, so there'd be no purgatory.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure theologically speaking, shoes are not going up with you. So that kid had bad theology.
Wasting his money.
Well, now I have to read the lyrics to White Winter Hymnal for you. I was following the pack, all swallowed in their coats, with scarves of red tied round their throats. Doesn't it sound beautiful so far? To keep their little heads from falling in the snow. And I turned round, and there you go. And Michael, you will fall and turn the white snow red as strawberries in the summertime.
Oh my God.
So graphic.
How is that a Christmas?
I don't understand what's happening.
It's a beautiful song too. And you're like, oh.
I think I Miss
You
You by
busting his head open.
I think I Miss You by Blink-182 could be Christmas because I have that one line, and we'll have Halloween on Christmas. In the night we'll wish this never ends. Maybe that's my favorite Christmas song, if that counts. Anyway, well, guys,
it can work.
Our season has come to a close. Season 2, wrapping it up. Joseph, you have
I see what you did there.
You people done that, Soldier Boy?
Yes, of course.
You have a book coming out though, so why don't
I
you tell us about it?
I have a book coming out sometime in early next year. We're still trying to figure that out. We're aiming for February, and it's called "When the Saints Fly In." When the Saints Go Flying In. I don't even know the name of the book. And I'll keep you guys updated when it does come out.
And it's about drummers at a big mega church.
Yeah.
Now, what's it about?
It's just a story about reflection about faith and life and everything between, using the official saints to tie in the story. Like, for instance, I use St. Catherine of Bologna to talk about Vincent van Gogh's painting of the Starry Night, and how I feel that that's a commentary that he made about the church using that painting. So things like that.
Oh.
And I've read it. I was privy to it.
I started
and it's
reading it.
excellent.
I still owe I got to finish it.
Yeah, Paul, deadline's this Friday.
Oh, is it this Friday? All right, I'll get on it.
Paul, do you want to sign us off?
Tell people where they can find your church, Joseph.
We are in the suburb of Houston, and we are called Mosaic Church, but we're not affiliated with Erwin McManus at all. Just a little red city called Pearland, where Trump visited. The only church he visited when he was visiting Houston for Harvey was in Pearland. So that's where I live.
Has Donald Trump ever gone to a church where there wasn't a campaign rally going on?
Well, it wasn't a campaign rally then.
That Christian president.
But man,
he's so godly. Big hands, big heart for God.
Yeah, that was something. I remember the streets closing and all my Facebook feeds, like, just the greatest president is here. We're so honored to host the president. I'm like, where am I?
And where I have to disagree with you, everywhere Trump goes is a campaign rally. Everything he does is a campaign
That's
rally.
right. That's right.
Joseph, you have some fans in the chat. People say we need to have you on more often because you're hilarious.
Thank you.
So.
Please tell my wife, because she doesn't think I'm funny.
All right, go to our website, evangelicalish.com. Sign up at the Beast or Antichrist level, and you can join us in January for our next private Zoom event. We will see you then. And we will, I know we're recording like a year-ending show. When does that air?
I think the first Wednesday of the new year.
Okay.
We'll keep you posted. You'll see if it drops or not.
Evangelicalish.com. Check it out. Happy holidays.
And
everyone.
Merry Christmas.
And Merry
The
Xmas.
Republican in me was like, you better just sing Christmas just real quick. And Happy Hanukkah and Kwanzaa and all the other ones too.
What was that? Festivus? Was that the Seinfeld one?
Happy Festivus for the
rest of us.
Hey, we're all showing our age.
We are. All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for being with us, and have a great holiday and Christmas season.